Hello everybody, my name is NikoTheLegend, also known as the well-mannered teenager, the snowflake rambling idiot, and Vigil. And today we are talking about, yes, another Final Fantasy remake is supposedly on its way. Now, we take this with a big grain of salt, okay, because nothing has been officially confirmed yet, just like the Final Fantasy IX remake, which I would hope you take that with also a grain of salt. But here we are, we're talking about it. There has been information, not that much information, but enough to kind of spark some interest, some ooh and ah. But before we get started on that, folks, hello. If you like what you see in the NikoTheLegend channel today, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. So, as we all know, Final Fantasy VII has been getting the remake treatment for quite some time now, along with other great RPGs that have come back from the days of past, from the 90s, 2000s, you name it. Square Enix is touching base with all those games, okay? So the latest and greatest would be, and the most expensive one, has been the Resident Evil 7 remake project, which part 2 comes out sometime in early next year. So we only have part 1, and then, as I mentioned in the last video, I talked about the status of the Final Fantasy IX remake, because from what that article stated that we're getting a remade version of the 9 game, Final Fantasy IX, a movie now, and a TV show. So the triple threat, triple triad. But like I said, nothing's been confirmed. So with all that said, how could we even think of a remake of Final Fantasy X? And the question is, do we even want one? But that's not what I'm here to talk about, the why. But let's talk about what information we do have. That's what we're going to find out. Now, like I said before, there's not too much to go off of, but I'll let you to be the judge of that and leave your comments down below. Thank you. So, according to a reputable Final Fantasy leaker, Square Enix is preparing to release a Final Fantasy X remake at some point in 2026. So 3 years from now, and you know nowadays time goes by pretty quick, so that'll be here before you know it. You wake up with a Final Fantasy X Woody, and you know why. While Square Enix has stuck to primarily remastering its popular games, it has also experimented with full-blown remakes, finding a great deal of success with the FF7 remake. Yeah, we all know that. Final Fantasy VII Remake released to widespread critical acclaim and strong sales. Yeah. Rumors have persisted for quite some time that Square Enix is developing a Final Fantasy IX remake. Well, check the last video. And it seems the game's franchise fans can look forward to after that is a remake of FF10. Though it's always best to take rumors like this with a grain of salt. Yeah, no shit. Capcom hasn't even... Capcom? According to I'm a Hero 2, a Reset Era user who has accurately leaked Final Fantasy news but has since deleted their account on the forum, which is really suspicious. The next Final Fantasy remake after 9 is 10. Apparently the game will be out in time for 10's next big anniversary, which will be in 2026. That's the 25th anniversary. Holy shit, I'm getting old. It's entirely unclear at this point the extent of the remake or what else it will entail. If this leak is accurate, fans likely won't get any concrete information for years. So, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you're probably wondering why I even made a video on this. Well, maybe because I like to see what you guys have to say about it. Maybe you know something that this article doesn't, and you're somehow connected into the deep underground of the gaming rumor, whatever, factory, and you know something that nobody else does. But I find this interesting because there are talks of already of a 10 remake. They're not even done with the 7 remake project. Now you got the 9 remake, and now you got the 10 remake. It's just going to be remake after remake. Now, personally, if you care about what my personal opinion is, considering that's all the information we have so far, I know. This isn't a clickbait video. I'm just, I just want to spark some interest and some conversation here. So, does the 9... Does it need a remake? I know I mentioned before that we wouldn't be talking about why, but I just want to know, does it need one? I personally will say no. I don't think the game has aged as poorly, and I don't really want to say that because it's all subjective, because Final Fantasy VII, I mean, that could be considered aged poorly in terms of the graphical department, but everything else might be okay for the most part. Like, I get it, Final Fantasy IX, I think that's aged like fine wine, right? I mean, personally, it's my favorite game of all time. But when you get to 10, you're just like, wait. I understand, 7 and 9 because they were on the PS1, but a PS2 remake. And I know that's not out of the ordinary, but I just don't think this needs it because the game is fine the way it is. It still looks great. They remastered it like, geez, how many times these days? Released it on every platform. But hey, if they want to celebrate the anniversary for it, if they do a good job, if they keep it similar to what people are used to in the original format of the game, great. Fine. If you retain the image of it, great. But remakes are a dime a dozen. They either go poorly or very well. So that's pretty much for us to decide, and we'll see what Square Enix does with that. Now, I would rather have seen, not necessarily a remake of 6, just because 6, I love the pixel art to that game. It is a fantastic game. A lot of good things about that, and that has been talked about recently, and you can look up articles about that. Now, this is interesting. What happened to 8? And I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but 8. I would have rather seen 8 get a remake because, truth be told, I can't stand Final Fantasy 8. I think it's terrible in terms of pacing. It's got the most the boring hours in the beginning of the game. It's very slow getting the plot going, and the tutorials are just horrendous. And the draw or the junction system, I can't stand it. I've tried it a billion times, but you could find a way to make it more modernized if you do a remake. I mean, it's so weird that they're skipping Final Fantasy VIII. It's kind of weird. It's like you would think Final Fantasy IX would be this discussion coming out in 2026, and Final Fantasy VIII is coming out sometime maybe this year or next year sometime. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I don't want to keep you away from whatever you're doing. I just want you guys to let me know what you think about this 10 remake. Does it need it? Why or who, where? Do you even give a shit? I don't know. Remakes. Square Enix is doing that quite a bit. But I appreciate it, guys. I've been your host, NikoTheLegend, and let me know what you think about the Final Fantasy X remake. That's all I got. That's all we need.